What's going on, guys? This is the Edge DFS. We are talking main slate for Week 11. We're breaking it down game by game. My name is Tyson Smith. I'm joined by Ellie Hernandez. What are you drinking, bro?
Dude, seltzers all day. Actually, it's only been like an hour and a half, but I've had a shitload of them, so I'm ready to fucking roll.
Hey, it's what is it? Wednesday night? Party, man. Party on a Wednesday night. Let's fucking do it, man.
I'm fucking down.
All right, so thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate it. We're going to break down each game quickly. We're going to try to keep this around an hour. So yeah, let's just get right into it. We're going to talk about, basically, let's look at a bird's eye view of the slate and kind of check this out. Hopefully you guys can see this. If you're watching this on your computer or TV, it'll be a little bit easier. But basically, Ellie, what's popping out to you here? We have all of our spreads, we have our win probabilities, we have our weather, and we have some of our popular stack options for each game. What game really pops out to you here from an over/under total, and as well as like some ownership? Like, is there a game that's coming in a little bit lower owned than it should be?
As far as ownership, man, I'm not sure that I'm all over that yet. It's gonna take me a little bit to kind of get on the same.
Well,
page
it is Wednesday.
But...
It is Wednesday, so it's a little early to. But for now, there's there's teams like Carolina, which right now their quarterback situation is a little iffy. We don't know if Teddy Two Gloves is going to start or not. I think he will. You got XFL hero PJ Walker potentially that can come in and play. So Carolina, their ownership is their quarterback ownership super low right now. We're talking under 3%. But, I would say they have a stack-wise against Detroit, they have a pretty good probability of actually being one of the top teams this week. What else sticks out to you?
Well, honestly, that's a great call out. I really do like that game. I understand that's the second lowest total on the slate, but the one thing about this is you're going to get double leverage by stacking the passing attack for Carolina. Simply because Mike Davis is about to be one of the chalkiest players yet again, just like we've seen all season. If C-Mac's out, Mike Davis is getting a lot of run. So I think this is an interesting game to pivot off Mike Davis into a full-on stack, not even just a one-off, just fucking stack the game. But again, I'm looking at a couple of these totals. There's some interesting ones. First of all, the Atlanta New Orleans game, I feel like they may have overdone this total here. 50 and a half points. New Orleans defense, they've actually been they've been stepping up recently. And I know that Atlanta has a lot of weapons, but they're only good offensively. Their defense sucks, and with such a strong rushing attack that New Orleans has, I really think that they're going to be able to dominate some of the time of possession here, and we could see the under hitting on this one. Another one that's interesting to me is Green Bay and Indianapolis. I really don't think that that's an accurate total.
Yeah.
Again, you're talking about the number one defense. I understand Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones are solid as hell. But I just don't think this is hitting the over. So with that said, I think it opens up some unique opportunity because some of the ownership is going to be heavy on those two games, just given the fact that they're the highest scoring on the slate. But I mean, we can look at Tennessee and Baltimore.
Yeah.
You can look at even Philly, Cleveland, 47 total. It seems a little low, but that might be because of the weather situation, as you got pointed out over there. But I think we can get around here. There's going to be a lot of value on this slate. And so one thing in our fucked up video that we weren't able to post last weekend was we were talking about the extremes on the slate, right? You had some totals coming in at 44.5, and then you had some totals coming in at 56.5.
Mm-hmm.
We're not seeing that. We're seeing more of a 4 to 5 point spread across all the implied totals. So I think there's going to be a little bit more flexibility, and ownership is going to be spread out across the board a little bit more than what we saw last week. So I think it's going to be a great opportunity to just really build how you want to build. Hate to quote one of the guys on Twitter, but play whoever you want.
Play whoever you want. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and Blender's right on, dude. I mean, this is going to be a slate to do something like that. Just start jamming people in that you think are in good spots. because it looks like most teams are in fairly decent spots.
So let's just talk about ownership real quick. We'll kind of go, the top choices here for ownership, or the top projected ownership at per position. So quarterback looks like Justin Herbert, Cam Newton, and Roethlisberger are coming in right or under 10%. And this isn't showdown. I know we're used to talking showdown, so these numbers where quarterbacks are coming in at 10% is really interesting. When we're used to 70 to 90%, obviously, it's a lot different when you got 11 games going on. So switching our mindset to the main slate here, Justin Herbert at under 10%, around 10% is interesting. You got Cam Newton going up against Houston at around a 25-point total. I don't see that. I know Houston's defense is not good, and Houston is not good in general. I just don't love Cam Newton again this week. But if his ownership is right, I just don't know who he passes to unless you naked stack him. Moving over to running backs, we've got Dalvin Cook, James Robinson, and here's the most interesting thing here. We've got Mike Davis. These guys are all coming in over, between 20 to 30% owned. Mike Davis is coming in right around 20%. He's at 6,800 this week. A lot of the backup running backs typically have been priced up recently on DraftKings, and we'll get into that in a little bit later. But a guy like Mike Davis at 6,800, I know he's going against Detroit, but look, he actually got banged up last week. I thought he was going to be out for the whole game. He came back with sort of he came back with a club, and his hand was all tied up and everything. So you're talking about a guy who might have some issues catching the ball out of the backfield this week. I just don't love Mike Davis at that price. And also, there's not really a lot of, he might not get as many snaps as he's used to getting. So a guy like Curtis Samuel could also step in and really get some extra snaps there. You're probably not going to see a lot of Trent Cannon. I mean, you might, but I like Curtis Samuel a little bit more, especially if PJ Walker has to start. They're going to have to rely on the running back position quite a bit. You got Duke Johnson again. He's at 5,400. He's coming in around 16 to 18% owned. I don't really get that. DeAndre Swift, I can totally understand that at around 16, 17%. And then from there, it's a gradual drop off. With the running backs, anything pop out to you ownership wise here?
I mean, not really. I guess actually, you know what? There's one that pops out to me. Dalvin Cook at approximately 30% against Dallas. I know it doesn't seem that shocking, but I actually find that kind of low ownership given the situation that he's in.
Yeah,
this is quite possibly the worst team in like the last 7 years, and that's not me just being a Cardinals fan, right? Talking shit about the Dallas Cowboys. They suck. They suck awfully bad. So I honestly think Dalvin Cook is in a unique position, and doubling the field on him might give you some additional leverage that you may not have expected with his ownership being so high. Another interesting guy that I see is James Robinson at 20.7%, right?
I love James Robinson, yeah.
And then you have James Conner at around 15%, which is interesting because, you got two of the chalkiest running backs in the same game. Now, just to be clear, James Robinson is almost pure fade for me, given the fact that he's playing the Steelers defense.
Yeah.
I understand the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to need to run the ball to kind of keep whoever the fuck their quarterback is in the game. But, Omar Epps or Mike Tomlin, I think he's going to come out prepared for that. And, you're talking about a Pittsburgh Steelers defense that is it's good. It's really good. And they're going to get the job done. I don't think look, man, put 8 men in the box. Don't let James Robinson beat you. That's literally the game plan that the dude from House is going to come in with, right? So I'm not stressing too much about James Robinson, but at that ownership, I really think you're going to have some unique leverage plays stacking in Deontay Johnson. C. Claypool. Like, I don't even know. Like, I'm just writing down Madden
Chase
names
Claypool.
at this point. Yeah.
That sounds like that sounds like a generated Madden name, like in a future draft. that they have to make up the name. That doesn't sound like a real name, by the way.
Bro, his profile picture looks like one of the random draft pictures that they just assigned players. So, like, I have no idea who this dude is. And look, the first time that he went off, I thought he was 5'3". Like, I legit thought he was Brandon Cook's cousin. But apparently, this dude is like Megatron's nephew. So I don't know, man. We're just gonna deal with it. We're gonna plug people in as we can get to them. But the Steelers they're in a decent spot, and they're probably going to blow the fuck out of this game. So,
yeah,
makes James Conner an interesting pivot off of the heavily chalky James Robinson.
Yeah, you're right. Wide receiver wise, Keenan Allen is your top owned guy right now, upward over 20%. Devontae Adams is right around him. You got Julio Jones, Scary Terry McLaurin, and Justin Jefferson, all above 15%. And just to point out here, we got Michael Thomas just below 15%, it seems. Michael Thomas is at 7,300 with potentially Jameis Winston starting. We haven't got an official word, but, I mean, who the fuck else is going to play? They're not starting Taysom Hill at quarterback and having him throw the ball 40 times. It's not going to happen. So, in fact, Michael Thomas might actually be a way better, fantasy-wise, he's a definite option this week with Jameis Winston playing, for sure. Tight ends, this is a wasteland this week. Your most expensive tight end is 4,900, and your highest owned is around 10%. So once again, to quote Blender, just play whoever you want, because this literally, I mean, I like Dallas Goedert. I always like Dallas Goedert, but that's just me. And if Zach Ertz comes back,
I'm gonna stop you.
Okay, go.
I gotta interrupt you, man. Look. I don't give a shit what anybody else says. Look. Fucking stack Jameis, stack Michael Thomas, and then you throw Taysom. Oh shit! Never mind. He's not.
FanDuel, dude.
God damn it,
FanDuel.
guys! I'm sorry.
This is a DraftKings show.
Oh,
that's all right. I wish DraftKings had him at tight end.
Eligible, that would be the easiest play.
Well, dude, yeah, because he might get 10, 15 snaps at quarterback. And he could throw a touchdown, he could run a touchdown. You're talking about like one of the highest ceilings ever for a tight end position at around 4,000 to 5,000. That would have made things really interesting. Maybe FanDuel needs some people to move over to them and play, so that's why they're doing that. I don't know.
No, bro, I want to get my lineup score this week and not next month. So,
you got Dallas Goedert. Zach Ertz actually might play, which is actually better for Goddard in my opinion. I think he excels when Zach Ertz is in, which is very strange. But just look at his numbers. I mean, last year he had a great year as the second tight end. When it comes to defenses, it's hard to tell right now on a Wednesday night. But Washington football team and the Dolphins seem to be getting some love from that aspect. So let's just move on. Let's break this down game by game quickly. We're not going to do our typical showdown breakdowns here. We're gonna move as quick as humanly possible. So what's our first game, Ellie? Do you see that? Is it Denver? Oh, Cincinnati and Washington, right? Is that the first game?
Cincinnati, Washington.
All right, so let's start with Cincinnati. I mean, actually, tell me, anybody to even talk about in this game on and which side of the ball? When it comes to stacking or one-offs. Tell me about that.
Hell yeah. Look, man, I don't give a shit what you want to do on this game. Ignore the total. These are Washington's defense is okay, but that might be the best unit that's on the field, right? But look, you're talking about two garbage teams with some pretty talented players. They're not consistent on all facets of the field. So you're going to have all kinds of garbage points here that are available. I mean, look, I'm going to make it simple. I'm going to break it down by position here. I think Joe Burrow is incredibly in play at 5,500. Alex Smith, really don't want any of.
He almost threw for 400 yards last week, man. Shit. And you got Terry McLaurin.
I agree. Look, dude, this is an easy game to stack. You can go 3-1 pretty easily.
Yeah.
Go 3 on the Bengals side, and then you run it back with Antonio Gibson or Scary Terry, right?
Yeah,
I think this is a great game stack here. Joe Mixon, 6,300. Antonio Gibson, 5,800. Gio Bernard, don't want anything to do with.
Yeah.
I mean, even J.D. McKissick, you got at 5,200. And Peyton Barber is at the Stone Min at 4K. There's a good chance that he's going to get a goal line carry or two and probably vulture a couple touchdowns. So I think they're in play. Then you got Terry McLaurin, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and AJ Green. The only person who has maybe a high price tag is Terry McLaurin at 6,900.
Yeah.
T. Higgins, 5,900. Tyler Boyd is $5,600.
That's crazy, dude. That's crazy.
$5,600.
Yeah.
Look at his targets, right? Just look at his targets. And I don't give a shit what anybody says. Tyler Boyd is in play every week. He should be at 6,300 minimum. Let's see, targets 8, 7, 13, 8, 6, 8, 13, 8, 5. So based on this trend, he's due for a 13 target game against a pretty porous pass defense.
I mean, look, his floor this season, his floor has been 7, but I would say, you know, you can pretty much bank that this dude's going to get above 13 or 14 points every single week with the the fall off of AJ Green.
Yeah, at 5,600, dude, like he has a much better floor than almost any other player you're going to see at 5,600.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that we want to consider here. AJ Green is 3,600. I don't give a shit if this dude is dust. He's still AJ Green. He's still a 6'3" all-pro wide receiver. And I don't know if Washington has a corner that can cover him. So, you know, I mean, he could end up with, I mean, look, if he gets what he's projected, he'll pay off his price tag.
Yeah.
So I think this is a very interesting game. And to be honest, that's not even talking about the chalkiest tight end on the slate at 3.3K.
Yeah.
Logan Thomas. So I don't even think you need to play that guy to get into this. I think
former
this is an interesting...
Logan Thomas, former Arizona Cardinals, 5th round quarterback pick. The dude got quarterback snaps, and he changed his career. I mean, good for him, man. Good for him staying in the NBA or in the NFL.
That's what
Tim Tebow should have done.
Broncos. Yeah, it's what Peyton Manning's Denver Broncos did to people back that season. They made you switch positions. I mean, Calais Campbell ended up being out for the season in that game. Logan Thomas ended up coming in, throwing. I think he went 2 for 11 or some shit, and then ended up getting cut. And now he's a tight end. So
you got a good memory,
good
bro. You got a good memory.
Well, I do. But good for you, Logan Thomas. If you're watching this, I fucking know you aren't, but good for you. I'm proud of you, man. And rise up, Red Sea. All right, that's all I got to say on this game, man. We can hop on to whatever's next.
All right,
I'm ready for it.
We're doing New Orleans versus Atlanta, which is a great fucking game. We're gonna spend a couple extra minutes on this one because there is actually something to dig into here. So we've got Jameis Winston at 5,900. And you got Matt Ryan at 6,300. Pretty reasonable prices for both of these guys. There's going to be a lot of scoring in this game, for sure. So when it comes to stacking, I think this is going to be my most stacked game by far. And considering both of these quarterbacks are coming in under 5%, you can definitely get unique and play a lot of chalk with these stacks for sure. What are your thoughts?
I'm going to be heavier on the New Orleans side than I am going to be Atlanta. Otherwise, I'm going to be approaching this game from a 1-1 stack perspective. I know it's a little bit different than what you're looking at here. But again, to maintain consistency with kind of my point at the beginning, I think this total is a little bit high for what we're expecting.
Yeah.
I think the New Orleans defensive line is a lot better than the Atlanta Falcons offensive line has the ability to handle. I really think they're going to get to Matt Ryan and they're going to get to him quickly. Now, that doesn't mean that Matt Ryan's not going to throw for 275 yards and 2 or 3 touchdowns, but I think he's going to get sacked 5 or 6 times. Excuse me, and end up throwing a pick or 2. And
yeah.
So I don't know if I want to go that side of the ball.
So we're in a dome here, just to give any of our podcast listeners or anybody just kind of listening without watching this. We're in a dome. The total is 50.5. New Orleans is favored by 5. New Orleans has a 70% win probability. So, this is a good game to target. This is the second highest, total on the week. And, Ellie, I tend to agree with you. Maybe it's possible that this total is a little overblown. Simply because you have a new quarterback coming in for New Orleans, so who knows what's really going to happen.
I don't think that matters, though, dude. I mean, Jameis Winston is if we actually wanted to dive into the numbers, he might be the number 1 fantasy quarterback in the past combined over the past 5 years.
He's not necessarily a good quarterback to lead you to the playoffs or the Super Bowl, but fantasy wise, he'll lead you to the Super Bowl for sure.
Yeah, right. Like you don't get negative quarterback points for throwing a pick six. So who
Yeah,
gives a shit if he's out there doing that? In fact, it's better for him because he's going to throw for 400 yards and
yeah.
probably 3 or 4 touchdowns. Sure, throw up 2, 3 picks. The pick six doesn't do anything for me. Honestly, I'm with you on this though. One of the things that I do like about this slate is if Jameis Winston stays at that ownership, I may just fucking burn all my money and lock him into the quarterback position and
Yeah.
just run stacks. I
Yeah.
mean, he's too cheap. And again, we'll get to those in just a moment. But some of the other value players some of the other core players on the Saints are really cheap. And again, Jameis Winston's just gonna fucking sling it. He's gonna chuck it up in the air. So I mean,
Yeah.
you might have decent value playing guys like Traquan Smith, Emmanuel
Oh
Sanders,
yeah.
that nobody's gonna be on.
Oh
this
yeah.
Yep.
Just by playing showdown with this team so many times, we totally can figure out the value on this team for sure. A lot of times you're not going to want to dig that deep on the main slate, but like Traquan Smith might be a great option here for sure. We just don't know who Jameis Winston likes. We don't know who he has chemistry with. And to be quite honest, any of these wide receivers are in play, in my opinion. Let's move on to running backs for this game. Obviously, you have Alvin Kamara. I don't fucking know. I'm going to call him out, Alvin Kamara. At 9,200, he's coming in under 15% ownership-ish. You've got Todd Gurley, and you've got Latavius Murray and Brian Hill. Now, what are your thoughts on, I mean, obviously, look, I don't think you can get to the backup running backs for this main slate mostly. Latavius Murray's at 5,900. I won't touch him in this slate for sure. Brian Hill, I'm going to uncheck him. Not even worth talking about. When it comes to Todd Gurley, can Todd Gurley get anything going here? He can probably get a couple of receptions out of the backfield. I just don't see him actually gaining yards on the ground.
No, I'm not interested in Todd Gurley. I will be transparent though. If you're thinking about Latavius Murray, fuck that. Just play Todd Gurley. They're the same price.
Yeah, exactly.
And Todd Gurley's a starting quarterback. Now
Damn,
he's a
dude.
starting running back.
Change positions.
I mean, it's shit. It's Matt Ryan. Who knows what's going on with this offense since Dan Quinn's been gone? But look, Todd Gurley, he's not a bad play at 5,900. I just think there's better plays at the running back position at that price.
Yeah,
now
absolutely.
let's not forget though that we're getting a lot of ownership that's going to tend towards Julio Jones. Calvin Ridley's not coming in as high as I expected yet. But if you're looking for a low-owned pivot off of some of these guys, he would not be bad in a 3-1 stack where you're fading Kamara and going with Jameis, 2 wide receivers, or a wide receiver and a tight end, and then running back with Gurley, right?
Yeah.
But again, if you're stacking this game, it's going to be such a low-owned stack anyways that you're better off just kind of going with the chalky run back. Yeah. But he is in play. I just don't know if I'm going to be prioritizing him at all.
Well, look, just to talk about Kamara real quick. With Drew Brees out, he's notorious for checking down to the running back. When it comes to Jameis Winston, I don't think he's going to be checking down to the running back too often. He's going to be going down the fucking field. So I think Kamara's hurt a little bit on this. In my opinion, I think if you're doing Atlanta stacks, you can run it back with Kamara, no problem. But I personally wouldn't do. Typically, you could do a New Orleans stack with Alvin Kamara and expect about 6-7 receptions and maybe a touchdown reception, as well as all those rushing yards. But in this case, I don't think it's going to work out as much with me getting him in stacks unless he's the run back or if he's just a one-off. That's just my opinion. So when it comes to wide receivers, for Atlanta, we've got Julio Jones at 7,500. We got Calvin Ridley at 7K straight up. Russell Gage at 3,900. Then you've got Michael Thomas at 7,300. You got Emmanuel Sanders at 4,900 and Traquan Smith at 3,500. I think, me personally, I'm gonna try to diversify as much as humanly possible here. I don't know that I'm gonna get a ton of Michael Thomas or Julio Jones. I want to. I just need to figure out if they're gonna pay off and if there's any real value that comes out. I think the value is gonna be at tight end this week. But honestly, I don't mind getting some Jared Cook. We'll get to him in a second. But how do you handle these wide receivers here? Are you any interest in anybody below the Calvin Ridleys? Are you thinking Sanders, Gage, or Traquan? I know we've already talked about this, but tell the audience what your potential exposure could be for these guys.
Okay, so before we hop into that, I do want to acknowledge. Look, Julio Jones is going to be one of the chalkier wide receivers on Sunday. I understand why he's Julio Jones, but he's going to be covered by Marshawn Lattimore unless there's some injury that I'm not aware of. Marshawn Lattimore is a lockdown corner. He is not going to let Julio run all over him. Now, there's a potential that he's going to end up shadowing Calvin Ridley. So keep in mind that that's something that's going to happen. But again, you're talking about routes that require more than 1.5 to 2 seconds. This is a defensive line that is going to get to the quarterback, and the Atlanta line is not something that to write home about. So if I'm looking at Julio Jones in this situation, given his ownership, I think Michael Thomas becomes almost a dead set lock if you're looking at stacking any type of Saints offense. And I think he's a unique pivot, especially off of Julio Jones, because you're going to look, it's a 5-point differential, right? We're expecting the Saints to come out and dominate. But Atlanta's known for, I don't know, keeping it close, letting games get close that shouldn't be close, whatever the fuck you want to call it. They're competitive. So Michael Thomas is going to get involved. And Jameis Winston, he's not an idiot. You don't throw for 350 passing yards against NFL teams for 19 seasons straight unless you know you have some idea what you're doing. So he's going to get Michael Thomas the ball early and often. And I don't think there's a Falcons cornerback that even has the size to pretend to cover him. So if Michael Thomas is truly healthy and he's truly going to be 7,300 for this slate, I don't know if DraftKings has the ability to change the price midweek. He's going to be one of my favorite players. Like I don't give a shit what anybody says. It's Michael Thomas. He's the top 3 wide receiver. With Julio Jones and DeAndre Hopkins being the other 2, and then maybe, Devontae Adams because he has Aaron Rodgers, against a defense that sucks dick for free at parties. And, excuse my language. I don't know how to say it any other way. This defense is not good.
Bitch.
No, that's exactly right. That's their defensive coordinator that Arnold's talking about right now. So, look, I don't understand how we do not just lock him in. His ownership should be closer to 25%, and I'll have him in a lot of lineups. Now, to answer your actual question and get into the rest of these receivers, Calvin Ridley is a great pivot off of Julio Jones. He's $500 cheaper, and he's probably about 10% less owned. Calvin Ridley is the guy. He is a much cleaner route runner than Julio Jones. Julio is a much more physical receiver. And yes, he is just an all-around better receiver. But the difference that clean routes makes is huge in the NFL, especially when you're talking about PPR. Right, you're talking about taking a quick slant, going 8 yards and turning it into a 45-yard reception. That's what Calvin Ridley does. So I love Calvin Ridley on this slate. He's probably going to be my primary run back. Right. And I'm going to fade Alvin Kamara, and I'm going to stack in Emmanuel Sanders at 4,900. Right, and then you got Traquan Smith, 3,500. Who knows who Jameis is going to throw to outside of Michael Thomas? I think these guys are all in play. And on the Falcons side of the ball, Russell Gage is not my guy. Since Dan Quinn left, it looks like they're going to be going to fucking
Ozymandias.
Zachariah,
the dude from Watchmen.
Chlamydia. Yeah, I don't know, man. He's 3,500. He's not in a bad spot. I think you're okay to run back with him. But again, this game, just throw in players, right? Just play them. Just plug them into your lineup. They're going to be low owned. You can do whatever you want here, and it's not going to hurt you. I think it's a really good game to stack. So, and I'm getting way carried away here, so I'm going to hand it back.
So Hayden Hurst is at 4,400. Jared Cook 4,100. I think these are great options, especially with the limited tight ends this week. I would never tell you to play the tight end in your flex, but I mean, if you wanted to get crazy, you could double up on tight ends this week. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to do it, but you'll definitely be unique. That's for sure.
Don't do that.
No, I know, exactly. But look, I love Jared Cook. I don't know how he's going to work with Jameis Winston. I love Hayden Hurst. You know, what was it, two slates ago, you had him as your
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
You had him as your crown their ass for the captain selection. So I think they're both in play. Obviously, they're under 5% owned. You can definitely jam these guys into your lineups as one-offs as well. Saints and Falcons. So Saints defense is always in play. They're 3,200. Falcons 2,300. I think they're all in play. Let's move on to the next game before we get too carried away. Pittsburgh at Jacksonville. Real quick, anybody stick out to you here? Are you going to be getting stacks of this game?
No, I will not be getting stacks of this game. I mean, I'll probably run some James Conner. I might have one-offs of the Pittsburgh wide receivers. I'm not going to get too crazy on this. This shouldn't be close. And if it is, then Pittsburgh just they aren't who we thought they were. They're not the fucking Bears, right? So
the Bears are who we thought they were.
This game is a 46.5 total. You got Pittsburgh at -10, 82% win probability. I mean, I'm not going to target this game. I just don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea. Now,
I'm going the under. They're going to run all 4 running backs, 14. They're going to assign people from the practice squad during the game to play running back on the Pittsburgh Steelers. This game is going to be a fucking blowout.
All right, let's move on to the next game. New England, Houston. This game is going to be chalky. I don't love it, though. I might end up completely fading this game. Let me pull it up here. What are your thoughts on this game? Do you have any interest in playing any New England or Houston stacks?
Look, Deshaun Watson is one of the most talented quarterbacks in the entire league. So I don't know how to say this from a fantasy perspective, but just from I don't even understand the perspective that I'm coming from. But look, if you want to fucking stack the Houston side of the ball, you're never in a bad spot stacking Deshaun Watson and his wide receivers. Granted, they're not the same thing since DeAndre Hopkins left. I understand that, but Will Fuller is having a hell of a season when he's on the field.
And the resurgence of Brandon Cooks too.
Brandon Cooks is coming back, right? So this is very much a viable team. But the one thing that I don't want to touch with the 10-foot pole is Bill Belichick is a defensive mastermind. You don't know what team you're going to get, even when they suck, when the Patriots are shitty. So I personally do not want a lot of exposure to this game. I may have one-offs in the Will Fuller, the Brandon Cooks. You may be even okay running a naked Deshaun Watson, but I'm not going to get too carried away here. And on the Patriots side of the ball, I don't even want to fucking play any of those guys. Like, what am I supposed to do there? Am I going to start Danny Woodhead, Rex Burkhead / Wes Welker at the running back position? Like they have 45 of the same guy at the same positions on every side of the ball. So I don't even know where to start there. Again, I'd rather go back to Michael Thomas, 7,300, right? There's more secure plays that are going to be throughout the slate that I'd rather kind of lock in and then kind of work on the intermediary projections from there. Jacoby Myers might be one of those one-offs that I look at from the Patriots side, but again, they're starting to get some of their offensive back. They're starting to get some more people healthy. I don't know if I want to touch it. Who knows what Josh McDaniels is going to do on offense, and who knows what Bill Belichick's going to do on defense. Deshaun Watson doesn't even have a head coach. I don't know who their head coach is. So I honestly don't know how to approach this game. And given the fact that it's one of the kind of middling totals on the slate, again, I just rather get to one of the higher totals that have much lower ownership.
So it's a 48.5 total. New England's favored by 2. With a 58% win probability. There's nothing sexy about this game. I think if you're going to put in 150 lineups and you're going to stack in every one of your lineups, you can differentiate your lineups enough that you're going to potentially find the nuts. I'm not going to deal with it. I don't know who's going to go off. I'm not going to touch Jacoby Myers. He's popping on the optos for some fucking reason. I don't want Jacoby Myers. I don't. N'Keal Harry is coming back. He came back last week. He got 0 points. He was terrible. But they're working him back in. Who knows what's going to happen with this team? James White could have 67 receptions for 95 yards, but I'm not touching him at all. Let's move on to the next game. What do we got here? We've got we've got Philly at Cleveland. Any interest in this game?
100%. And I know. I've spent like 18 minutes talking about totals. But I think this is one of the harder totals to project. This is going to be 100% dependent on weather, which we saw on Sunday, right? What was that game? Fucking 1-0. That Houston-Cleveland game was a baseball game. Like, I would rather watch the Padres play. What's another shitty team? The Marlins.
Dude, it was 10-7. It was 10-7.
Right, like,
Nick Chubb walked out on the fucking 1 yard line like an asshole.
Bro,
What's the point? They were only up by 3. Bro, they were only up by 3.
Bad beat alert.
Like you gotta score the touchdown. You gotta score the touchdown.
Do you know how many people lost money by? Yeah, they didn't cover the spread, right? They that. There were a lot of bettors that had money on Houston to cover, or what was it? No. It was the other way around. I think it was 3.5.
Yeah, it was 3.5.
It was 3.5 for Cleveland to cover, and him doing that fucked a lot of people. So
Doesn't make sense.
Look. First of all, fuck Nick Chubb because he's in my season long. I mean, I ended up winning, but what the hell?
Yeah.
But he's better than Todd Gurley.
He was having Todd Gurley flashbacks for sure.
So this is an interesting game to stack. Everybody's in the middling price range. And honestly, I'm going to be on the Philadelphia side of this if I do approach this because there is going to be low ownership. And I understand the offensive line for Philly is risky.
Yeah.
But Carson Wentz against a shitty defense is... Man, I don't know.
Is Cleveland a shitty defense? I mean, I think they're middle of the road sort of a defense, and they did pretty well last week. I like Cleveland's defense better than Philly and Carson Wentz's offense. That's for sure, in my opinion. It's a 47 total. There's a little bit of weather, a little bit of precipitation, potentially some rain. Cleveland's favored by 3 again, at a 47 total. I mean, I don't know.
Can Philly okay? So let's look at it this way: can Carson Wentz keep underperforming this consistently? Like this might be the most consistent stretch of his career, and it's been underperforming, right? Like he's gonna have a decent game at some point. He is a better quarterback than 30% of the quarterbacks in the league, right? I'm not gonna put him in the top 10. Well, actually, that is the top 10, 30%.
Yeah,
but look. He's
like 17, 18 right now.
But here's the thing. He's getting his offense back. Alshon Jeffrey's active. Daniel Goddard's back, right?
Dallas.
Yeah. It's Dallas Goddard?
Yeah.
Daniel, fucking Goddard. He's back, okay? Right? Like, for the entire season, we've been playing with Boston Scott and...
I know.
Fuck Travis Fulgham, right?
Yeah.
So they've had a premier wide receiver appear in the midst of all the injuries, and you have Miles Sanders who's back as well. And Miles Sanders against once again a very Cleveland is a porous run defense. So if you're looking for a one-off, I think Miles Sanders is very much in play on this slate. So again, I don't think this is a terrible game to attack from an ownership perspective because there is going to be a little bit more upside than what we're going to see in some of these other games.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's put it this way, and then we can move on. I will take the Philly-Cleveland game over the chalky as fuck New England game.
Absolutely. I will too, for sure. So let's move on to, we've got Detroit at Carolina. This is a 45.5 total. It's the pretty much the second lowest on the slate. We've got Carolina minus 1.5. Good weather. You don't have to worry about that right now. I kind of like fucking with this stack a little bit. A game stack here, like a double stack with a run back. I don't mind it at all. But I'm gonna fade Mike Davis in this game. I'm gonna get some other guys. I'm gonna get some Robbie Andersons. I don't know that I'm gonna have too many Carolina stacks, but I'm gonna run it back for sure. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm gonna disagree with you 100%.
Okay.
And the only reason being is he's not stone minimum, right? He's not 4K. They priced him up like he was going to be the starter this week, so ownership's going to fade away.
But dude, he's the third highest owned running back on the slate.
This matchup is optimal. I mean, I get Teddy probably isn't going to play, and people are going to be preparing for Mike Davis, but Detroit sucks at run defense. They're just fucking awful. And they are worse than Houston. They are worse than Cleveland. And, I mean, just start naming bad teams. I'm pretty sure they're 32nd in the league at stopping the run. And Mike Davis, he's getting volume like Christian McCaffrey. I understand what happened last week, but there's not much more that you're paying for than volume. If he's getting 8 targets and 25 carries, if he scores 4 fantasy points, I'll grin and bear it, right? Now, I'm not going to lock him into 100% of my lineups, but I'm going to have him in probably 10 to 15% more than the field. And here's one of the big reasons why, is if you look at the other side of the ball, who is pretty chalky? DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
Right? So DeAndre Swift is not going to be involved in some of these stacks. And look,
Well, yeah.
I expect Carolina to be ahead in this game. So Mike Davis, and then running it back with Matt Stafford, and then Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay, who will likely be back. That it looks for some interesting builds. Now, I'm with you. The 6,800 price tag is a little bit scary. So you're going to have some better value that's going to be at the running back position. Like, again, we talked about Antonio Gibson. I like him a lot, and he's about $1,000 cheaper. So there are some decent pivots that you can have coming off of this. And if you want to pivot in the same game, I don't mind Curtis Samuel. I don't mind DJ Moore. Those two specifically. Robbie Anderson is obviously a great play, but again, you're creeping up there in ownership. If you're going to be paying down or trying to get off the chalk, you need to go DJ or Curtis Samuel. And your boy Curtis, right? I think I think he's in a really good spot here.
Oh yeah. Well, look, I mean,
Detroit, dude.
Yeah,
they suck.
And Mike Davis is hurt. Like, he's gonna play because they need him to play, but he's hurt. So he might not get as many snaps as he usually will. So when you're thinking about a $6,800 price tag, I think Curtis Samuel is the guy because he's going to benefit on both sides of the ball. He's going to get a couple extra carries, a couple end-around plays, especially if PJ Walker's in. He's going to get some wildcat. You know he's going to be involved in this game. They line him up, 6-7 yards behind the quarterback, in the red zone. So he's got opportunity. We talk about it all the time. I like Curtis Samuel. I think I'm not necessarily going to do stacks if PJ Walker starts, but if Teddy Bridgewater starts, I'm going to have Curtis Samuel and DJ Moore, or Curtis Samuel, Robbie Anderson, and then run it back with Swift, or run it back with Golladay or Jones, whoever plays. I like those sort of stacks, but I don't know that I'm going to get too deep into Detroit and try to run it back with Mike Davis. I think I might just go under the field on Mike Davis. That's just my opinion.
So I do want to call something out, right? So when we're looking at pricing on quarterbacks, and this is for our viewers specifically, right? We're looking at pricing on quarterbacks. Quarterback is a position where you're not going to have as much of a broad range of outcomes, right? You're going to be tightened between a certain amount of projections. There's going to be a pretty consistent ceiling. There's going to be a pretty consistent floor. So when you have a quarterback coming in at 5,300 or whatever PJ Walker is, right, and projected for 15 points, which should be pretty much the standard baseline for quarterback projections, that's not terrible. So if you're looking at cash plays, right, stacking PJ Walker with Mike Davis isn't an awful decision.
Yeah.
And honestly, in GPPs, playing PJ Walker,
that's great. It's a great idea.
Without guys like Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson, is Patrick Mahomes on?
No, Patrick Mahomes is Monday night. Yeah.
Yeah. So without those really ceiling quarterbacks on the slate, you're opening a lot of opportunities with your salary by playing a low price quarterback who's still probably going to get 12 to 15 points.
Exactly.
So he's in play, but just, keep that in mind. Great point,
dude. Tennessee at Baltimore, good weather. Baltimore's got they're minus 268 on the money line, 73% win probability. I think that's a little extreme in my opinion. It's a 49 total, and Baltimore is minus 6.5. I think Vegas is drunk here, man. Like, did they watch the fucking game last week? Tennessee is a solid team. I don't think anybody's forgotten about the playoff game last year. Derrick Henry's ownership is fucking 3% or something. Did anybody watch that game? I don't care how good Baltimore's defense is. He's matchup proof in my opinion. How do you handle this game?
Yeah, I'm with you. I like this game a lot. I think it's going to be interesting. I would prefer Derrick Henry Look, I don't plan on stacking this game. If you are going to stack this game, you're going to go with Titans offense against the Baltimore defense, and it's going to be risky.
Yeah.
Baltimore secondary is probably the best in the NFL. And I really don't even know what to say beyond that, right? You got Marlon Humphrey, you got he enough is a lockdown corner, but that entire defense and that entire secondary is a big deal. Now, the injuries that they're facing are on the defensive line. You have Calais Campbell, who I don't think is going to play, and some dude named Williams, I think Brandon Williams, he's going to be out, and he is defensive tackle, nose tackle. Those are two of the top run stuffing defenses or defensive linemen in the NFL. So I think that really opens up some opportunity here for Derrick Henry. Now, again, Alvin Kamara was running 9,200 and was probably going to be close to 15 to 20% ownership.
Yeah.
So Derrick Henry looks like a strong pivot. You're going to save $1,200 off of him.
Yeah.
And he's in a great spot. Look, and you're exactly right. Derrick Henry is matchup proof, especially this late in the season. People are tired of tackling him. He's 6'3". He's like 296 pounds.
Yeah.
And he runs a 3.40. Like, I don't know what you're supposed to do against this guy when the end of the season comes. Like, there's no reason this guy should have had a 99-yard touchdown last year.
This is his time to shine, dude. It's starting to get cold. Teams are hurt. They're tired. This is where he breaks out. This is where he has a 200-yard game, sort of a situation, when no one expects him to.
This dude is fucking pouring E-ball on his goddamn Cheerios in the morning, right? He's fucking straight freebasing the steroids. Like, I don't know what's going on, but he's a freak of nature, man. He's Bo Jackson playing for the Titans. He's insane, man. I like him. And, we talked about this on Showdown. I do not think you're doing anything wrong throwing A.J. Brown or Corey Davis in any of your lineups. I understand that they're going to be playing against a pretty strong secondary. A.J. Brown's probably going to be locked up by Marlon Humphreys, which opens up some opportunities for Corey Davis. And let's see what his price tag is. You got Corey Davis at 4,800.
Oh,
I don't know what else to tell you.
Oh, God, that's a great play. It's a great play.
All I got to say about the Ravens.
I really like game stacks here because it's going to come under owned, and especially considering that Baltimore is so favored for some fucking reason. I don't understand why they're favored like that. I just don't get it. That's just my opinion on it, though.
One last point on this game. Tennessee's defense is fucking awful this year. So I don't expect Lamar Jackson to go and throw for 300 yards, but this could be a game where you see 150 yards and 2 touchdowns out of Lamar.
Yeah.
Okay, so keep that in mind. There is a chance that he has a lot of rushing upside in this game. So if you want to run the naked Lamar, I'm down for it. I really don't recommend running a 3-1 on this. 2-1 would probably be the max.
Yeah, 2-1 for sure. Run it back with Henry. Or A.J. Brown or Corey Davis. Yeah, Corey Davis in a run back on this is going to be – no one's going to have that lineup. So let's move on to the Jets at the L.A. Chargers. That just sounds weird. I live in L.A. and I don't even I forgot that they played here. So obviously the weather is going to be good. The Chargers are minus 410, 80% win probability. They're favored by 8.5. This is a 47 total, middle range. Could be an interesting, this is interesting. I don't know that I'm going to get a ton of stacks here, but Justin Herbert has been absolutely crushing it. You got Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. You got Jamison Crowder as a run back with Joe Flacco on the other side. I'm not going to get any Joe Flacco stacks, I don't think, but this is, look, Joe Flacco came out and crushed it last week. And knowing the Chargers, no team is ever out against the Chargers. Justin Herbert has won one game, and he's been absolutely crushing it. And it's mainly because the Chargers find ways to lose. So in this game, I know the Chargers are at home, but it's good field conditions. There's no weather to deal with. Joe Flacco is sort of getting a second wind maybe on his career. That's the wrong way of putting it. He's doing well enough that he's not an absolute joke. So when it comes
he's not dead.
He's not dead. He's actually passing the ball relatively well. And you got a guy like Jamison Crowder, you got Denzel Mims. You've got a lot of decent options for him. I think this team has good options and good weapons. And with the ownership being so fucking low, like Justin Herbert some a little Justin Herbert, Mike Williams run back with Jamison Crowder. Keenan Allen is very popular in this game. He's been crushing it lately. I don't know that I love Keenan Allen. He's not the same guy he used to be. He doesn't have that upside, but I think he's still a great option. What are your thoughts on this game?
So really, the only thing that I have to say about this game is my favorite play here. Don't slap me through the phone. It's probably Kalen Ballage.
Hey man, I don't blame you.
They're going to give him. They're going to give him more of the volume. I don't even know who their fucking head coach is anymore.
Oh,
Vance
Lance
Joseph's cousin.
Lance Lynn? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, Lance Lynn? No.
It's Anthony.
Anthony
Lynn.
Lynn. Yeah,
that worked.
Yeah.
So Vance Joseph's cousin is going to give the ball to Kalen Ballage. He likes Kalen Ballage. Look at last week. He had 15 carries or 18 rush attempts. The week before, he had 15. He had over 100 scrimmage yards last week. It was only 15 fantasy points. Throwing a touchdown, he's probably in an optimal lineup at 5K. Now, the only thing different this week is his overall tag at 5,600. Again, I think there's better plays, but if you're looking for a little bit of a leverage play, he's great. Keenan Allen is fine. He's fine. I don't know what else to say other than that. The problem is he's not putting in the touchdowns, so he's getting his 8 receptions for 60 yards, 70 yards, which is
consistent. He's a good cash play. He's always a good cash play. Mike Williams is your tournament play. That's who I'm going with.
Yeah.
And so you can go Herbert, Williams, Hunter Henry, run it back with sorry, I'm blanking on Jamison Crowder. Like, those are great fucking options in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm just not going to be high in this game. I mean, we're talking about an 8-point differential. So like,
yeah, you're right.
Kalen Ballage is going to be primarily my go-to when I'm looking at player pool here, and that's just because, I mean, if you're going to be up by 8 points, you're probably going to be running the ball pretty predominantly.
Exactly.
You want to start throwing in guys like Joshua Kelly, Troy Maine Pope. I mean, whatever, man. If you're running 150 lineups,
yeah,
the largest size GPP, go for it. But I won't be targeting this game too much just because the spread's a little bit too high for me to want to deal with.
All right, we're going to move on to Miami at Denver. This is a 45 total, the lowest on the slate. Miami's favorite at 3.5. Miami's trending up. They're actually, I think they're tied with Buffalo, right? They're both 7-3. I think they're overachieving at the moment. I think they're
number one. They hold the tiebreaker.
I'm
pretty sure they beat.
Look,
they beat the Cardinals.
They beat the Cardinals. Yeah, in my opinion, I think they're overachieving and they're going to come back to earth. I think Tua is a good talent. He's fun to watch. It's his rookie year. He's going to regress slightly. I don't really have any interest. If Fitzmagic was playing in this game, I'd be stacking the shit out of this game. But I'm not going to touch this game right now. You got Brett Rippon on the other side, Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant. You can run it back with some Devontae Parker or some Mike Gesicki, whatever you want. But I personally don't love this. I think it's going to be an average game. I'm just going to avoid this game in general. Do you have any thoughts on this game, or should we move on to Dallas versus Minnesota?
The only thoughts that I have here, my favorite play on this this game is the Miami defense. I appreciate what you're saying about Tua mean regression, but the key to their winning streak isn't Tua. It's not the offense. It's 100% the defense.
Absolutely.
They're scoring on special teams. They're scoring on defense, and they're forcing turnovers. They're getting sacks, and they're getting stops.
I'm glad you brought that up. This is a good matchup for them.
I love this defense against a shitty Broncos offense. The biggest weapon that the Broncos have is Jerry Jeudy and his clean route running. So I do not think that they're going to be able to do much here. I think you're looking at probably 2 defensive touchdowns. Bold take.
Love it. All right, we're going to move on to... So we're moving on to Dallas at Minnesota. No weather to deal with here in Minnesota. The Vikings are 77% win probability. It's a 48.5 total, so middle of the road. And the Vikings are favored by 7. It looks like we're going to get Andy Dalton back for this, hopefully. If Andy Dalton is back, I actually love stacking this game. I know it sounds crazy. I don't mind getting Andy Dalton stacks. I don't mind at that price at 5,300. Get some Gallup, get some, whoever you want, and run it back with Jefferson or Thielen. I actually really like this game in general. I don't necessarily love Kirk Cousins, but he didn't do too bad in that showdown game. What are your thoughts on this game? Are you going to get any of this game?
Look, so before we get to our tournament pivot slides, I'm just going to go ahead and admit, and I fucked up here. I love Dalvin Cook against this defense, but I did not pay attention to Zeke's price tag.
6,500. That's fucking crazy, and he's under 5% owned.
No, I don't care about anything else in this game other than Zeke Elliott. I'll probably have a significant amount of exposure on Sunday, and I'll probably lose a shitload of money. But I mean, what am I supposed to do with that? 6.5K Ezekiel Elliott, and then you run it back with Adam Thielen at 6.3 or Justin Jefferson at 6K. That might be one of the greatest 1-1s that I've seen in a long time. So I don't care who's playing quarterback for the Cowboys. They still suck. Ezekiel Elliott's their best player until someone can throw the ball to CeeDee Lamb. So this is a really interesting game to target. Dalvin Cook absolutely is. Any lineup that doesn't have Ezekiel Elliott on Sunday is probably going to have Dalvin Cook for my submissions. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it at that. My player pool at running back is essentially going to be Dalvin Cook and Zeke. I don't understand why Zeke is 6,500. It doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, look, he's been terrible lately, and yeah, his price tag has been dropping. He hasn't really shown that he can be effective in this new Cowboys offense. So I like that they're dropping the price on him, because if he was up above 7, if he was 7,500 or 8K, like he minimum should be, there's no reason you would ever play him. So at this price tag, I'm surprised his ownership is so low. I actually really love taking a stab at him, because he's the kind of guy, he's dynamic enough, he can go off for 2 touchdowns and 150 yards, and no one would even be surprised. That's just my opinion.
Let me put it this way. If you had to choose between having Kenyon Drake or Ezekiel Elliott on the Arizona Cardinals, who would you choose?
Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah. If you go around the league and ask that, there's maybe the Titans that'll say fuck off. And maybe the Packers, right? Everybody's taking Ezekiel Elliott. So look, I get you're probably going to end up getting 8 points because this offense sucks. But at the end of the day, if he somewhat shows up, he's going to pay off $6,500.
All right, so quickly,
that's all I have to say.
Quickly, favorite wide receiver in this game?
Justin Jefferson. I know he's chalky, but dude is. I haven't been watching the Vikings play. Obviously, we watched them on whatever it was, Monday night. Dude is fucking powerful.
Look,
he's a beast.
Thielen's at 6,300. So that's not bad.
I know.
That's not bad. I mean, you're talking about a guy who was, a top 10 wide receiver last year, in my opinion. I know that Diggs leaving possibly hurt him, but with Justin Jefferson emerging as an actual real threat, I think that helps Thielen more than you would think. I really think it helps him a lot. All right, let's move on.
Look, I think. Go ahead, move on. But
no,
I think
go
it's
ahead.
a pick 'em between. No, I think it's a pick 'em between either one of them. I think they're both in prime positions. Look, Dallas defense sucks. The only thing that I'm concerned about is that Dalvin Cook is just going to go off for 290 yards. So that's the only reason why I wouldn't play one of these wide receivers and go with the cheaper guy. But I think you're fine doing Jefferson or Thielen.
All right, we're going to go to Green Bay and Indianapolis. This is an interesting game here. Possibly one of my favorites to stack. The ownership isn't too crazy high. I mean, they're getting ownership, but Aaron Rodgers is not getting a lot of ownership, which is really interesting to me. This game, let's look at the totals here. Excuse me, it's these damn seltzers. 51 total. You're in a dome. You don't have to worry about any of this bullshit against Indy. It's actually really interesting. Indy is favored. They're at -127. They're a -2 favorite. So yes, they're at home, so they're getting that benefit. It's more like a pick 'em. But I don't see Indy like. I want to put money on the money line for Green Bay here for sure, because I actually really like Green Bay to win this. I think Indy's slightly overrated. I don't see Phillip Rivers being able to do much in this game, just my opinion. Are you getting how are you handling stacks for this game? Like, what are your options? Are you going with Devontae and possibly Lazard is coming back? So are you going to go MVS? You're going to go Tonyan, run it back with Michael Pittman? I don't think you can touch T.Y. Hilton. Maybe run it back with Hines, maybe. Hines can go off, or even some Jamal Williams. Like there's so many options in this game, and they're relatively priced. Aaron Jones is at 7,200. What the fuck?
Yeah. So look, man, this is a very interesting game to attack. I think Alan Lazard's price tag is fairly cheap. I think MBS is going to come at a little bit higher ownership than what people would normally expect, just because of his recent performance.
Yeah.
Right, his recency bias is going to be high.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like him. Look, if you're playing the Packers, looking at Rodgers, Jones, Adams, Lazard, and then maybe Robert Tonyan. I won't be stacking much of this game. I understand the total's where it is, but again, as I alluded to at the beginning of the show, I'm not high on this total. I really think we're going to hit the under here. Indy's defense is the number one defense in the NFL. They're quietly flying under the radar, and when I watched them the other night, they looked elite. Their middle linebacker, I honestly don't even remember his name. Their middle linebacker, I think he's in his third year now. He's been all-pro 1 year. He was all-pro second year, and he'll be all-pro this year. He's probably the best middle linebacker in the game. That's not named C.J. Mosley and injured on the Jets. So, look, I am not a fan of this game. I think Aaron Rodgers is a great way to go, but the problem with stacking this game is you're gonna run into some salary implications. Davante Adams is really high priced again. He was $9K last week. He's $8.6K this week. Don't get me wrong, Davante Adams is a stone cold lock pretty much any week. He's got the 4 touchdown potential on his 97 targets a game. So there's a good chance that he's going to go out there and break this yet again, like he did back to back.
Yeah.
It might even be back to back to back.
Yeah.
But getting some of these weapons back and this team getting a little bit more healthy, I fully anticipate them to start spreading the ball around a little bit more and trying to remove the weight from Aaron Rodgers' shoulders. So I don't know if this is going to be the greatest fantasy performance that we're expecting on the Green Bay side. And on the Indianapolis side, I do have some interest in Phillip Rivers running 5,600.
Yeah.
Granted, if I'm taking Phillip Rivers and Jameis Winston head-to-head, normally I would tend towards Jameis Winston, but Phillip Rivers has obviously played in the past 6 weeks, so he has a little bit more consistency. The big thing that I'm going to be looking for here is whether or not Jaire Alexander plays. If Jaire Alexander is in, this defense is a little bit different than what we would expect from a normal week-to-week basis. He adds a lockdown corner, and whether it's T.Y. Hilton or whatever one of these scrub wide receivers that he's going to lock down, he's going to fucking lock him down.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the problem is Nyheim Hines is 100% in play. But now you're talking about such large field tournaments that I'm not playing him in a single entry. I'm not playing him in some of these smaller fields.
Yeah.
So trying to run a 3-1 on this game is going to be a little bit difficult unless you're going heavy Green Bay. And again, when Green Bay has so much negative correlation, if Davante Adams is going off, Aaron Jones isn't doing shit. If Davante Adams is going off, MBS isn't doing shit, right? So who's going to be that third guy is really going to be tough. Now, if you want to run a 2-1, that's fine. And then you may even, this is going to be dumb as shit. So don't send me hate mail when I say this, but you might even be fine running a 2-2 stack here, right? Running Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers, and then, I don't know, fucking Jonathan Taylor and Marcus Johnson or whatever, right? Well,
damn, dude, that's like that's the millie maker right there for sure.
Right. And look, I'm going to be honest, that's total nonsense. I don't expect to see that lineup ever, and there's good reason for it. So this might be an interesting game to get creative on, but I don't think you're going to run a typical 3-1 to try and bring down a positively correlated GPP with. But it is in play. I think it'll be interesting. And now that I say that, Aaron Jones at 7,200 though against this defense is going to be super low owned, and he's going to have extreme upside. Aaron Jones he's going to get you 5 points or he's going to get you 45 points. I mean, remember, he gets 2 or 3 touchdowns a game. That's where he gets his fantasy output. And his record shows that. As much as it sounds facetious and like I'm talking shit, it's absolutely true. He'll go on a 3-game streak where he has 0 yards, or 0 touchdowns and like 60 yards. And then he'll have a game where he has 120 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 70 yards receiving. So if that's something that you're expecting, I mean, go ahead and jam him into your lineups. Again, I think this is a great 1-1. Run Aaron Jones. Actually, no, you can't 1-1 if you're running Aaron Jones. Well, look, but there's players you can take here.
Look, don't sleep on Jamal Williams if you're going large field tournaments here. That's just my opinion on it. I think Jamal Williams gets, as a backup running back at that price, you can really use Jamal Williams to fit in Davante Adams. Jamal Williams is going to get receptions. So look, I'm not telling you to go out and have 20% of your lineups with Jamal Williams, but give him a shot. That's just my opinion on it. All right, let's move on to stacks here. Our favorite stacks. Ellie, what's going to be your highest exposed 1 or 2 stacks this week?
Currently it's New Orleans. I'm looking at Jameis Winston, Michael Thomas, and probably Traquan, Jared Cook, or some random fucking guy. I don't know. If I can fit in Alvin Kamara, I'd love to. Honestly, that's my optimal stack is Jameis, Alvin, and Michael Thomas. And then if I can find some value that opens up over the weekend, then I'll be jamming that value in because I really think that's ridiculous. Yeah. It's egregious that Jameis Winston is priced that low. I understand he hasn't played a game in 17 years, but he's playing with some of the best offensive weapons that are on the field. Alvin Kamara is going to get targeted 78 times, and he is going to score a touchdown or 2. He could have 120 yards receiving, right? And that's what he adds to this team. So he's essentially a wide receiver that also plays running back. He's Brandon Cooks, but like a real person with a real body that doesn't get broken. Yeah. So I want to see him get some run, and so that's my favorite stack. And then obviously Atlanta has all kinds of run back options: Hayden Hurst, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, fucking Todd Gurley. I don't give a shit, right? Just don't play Amadeus, Zacchaeus, or whatever the fuck. Yeah, just don't throw in the randos and you'll be okay. And then, there's going to be some opportunities for 1-1. I think Tennessee and Baltimore is going to be a great 1-1 opportunity. Philly, Cleveland. And honestly, Philly, Cleveland might be my sleeper 3-1 stack of the weekend. I think that's a great opportunity. Either way, I mean, you can go Baker, Jarvis Landry, and Rashard Higgins or fucking Harrison Bryant. It doesn't matter, right? Mm-hmm. You can start throwing in some of these randos and be okay. They're going to be low priced, and I like that game stack a lot.
From my side of things, I agree with you. New Orleans is a great option. I actually like Atlanta more. So if I'm going Atlanta, I'm doing 3 stacks or a double stack run back in that game for sure. But I'm going to prioritize Atlanta. The ownership is just going to be a lot lower, and I can find enough value there if I want to. I can go at Hayden Hurst or whoever and run it back with Michael Thomas or Kamara, either one. I also really like Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers, Devontae, finding some value with Tonyan. Look, I'm going to incorporate my stacks with tight ends this week because there's just so many options. If you find that one tight end involved in your stack that goes off, I think you can find a lot of value, and that could potentially propel you into some high in the leaderboards. That's just my opinion on things. And don't sleep on Andy Dalton. You got some great receivers there. You have 3 potential number 1 wide receivers on that team. And if you're gonna prioritize Kirk Cousins stacks, run it back with Zeke. And Zeke is a good one-off for me. I'm gonna have him in a lot of my lineups, as well as look. You can go head to head. If you wanted to do a second run back, you can do a Dalvin run back with Ezekiel Elliott. That could be, in addition to your Matt Ryan stacks or whatever it is, or you can get a vomit stack in there, a low-owned PJ Walker, and run it back with all these expensive guys. Those are my favorite stacks of the week. We're gonna move. Go ahead, bro.
I do want to comment on that. Look, normally we're not going to advise you to run 2 running backs in the same game, but this is a different situation. Andy Dalton, whoever is running the offense on the Dallas side of the ball sucks dick. Like, we just know that, right? Yeah. We know it's trash. Ezekiel Elliott's their best player, and it doesn't take a quarterback being successful to hand the ball off, right? If your fucking quarterback can't hand the ball off in the NFL, then you suck as a GM and you suck as a coach. So, look, Mike McCarthy is not a bad coach. He isn't. And, I understand Jerry Jones is not the greatest, but look, Mike McCarthy is not a bad coach. And He's not going to consistently allow this team to flounder. These are two of the best players that are going to be on the field on Sunday, right? Running them back against each other it's not negatively correlated like you would normally see, because Ezekiel Elliott is going to get 25 touches. Dalvin Cook is going to get 25 touches. It's that simple. You're talking about two elite running backs who are going to get a shitload of volume. So I don't think it's bad. Right. And the good thing about stack, that 1-1 stack that he just mentioned, that is going to give you some paramount. It's just going to give you some goddamn leverage. I don't know how to
No
say
one's
it
playing those two guys in the same lineup. Not a single
Nobody
person.
is doing that. And because of the potential negative correlation.
Yeah.
Now, this might be us just being showdown bros or whatever the fuck you want to call it. But look,
Hey, that's a good name for our show, dude. Showdown Bros. Yeah. Show Bros.
Or in parentheses, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. But yeah, no, that's exactly right, right? Nobody's going to be running that lineup. So instead of trying to get creative by jamming in a fucking min-priced wide receiver that's going to have zero range of outcomes, right? Why not have Dalvin Cook and Ezekiel Elliott in the same lineup? Yeah, it might be a little risky, but it's not as risky as running Jakeem Grant and hoping that he gets a punt return for a touchdown and 7 receptions for 80 yards, right? That's bullshit.
Yeah.
There's no way that's going to happen. So I know I'm ranting here a little bit, but I just wanted to call that out. Like, we understand that it's an unconventional call, but the point is to get leverage on the field in the best way that you can. And that might be one of the best ways to get leverage on the field in this slate is playing Zeke.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, agreed. All right, we're going to move on to our fade of the day. Ellie, tell me about your pick of Davante Adams, you ballsy son of a bitch.
Yeah, man, I just... Okay, so look, there's two reasons. The first reason I'm picking Davante Adams is because I faded him enough already this season. I got to fucking stand by it. I can't just hop over now, right? Look, dude, I've still won money doing it, right? But now he's starting to approach those Christian McCaffrey type salaries. 8,600 is a little bit different than 9K that he was last week. But I'm not going to pay for that. I really just I don't want to pay for that. I think there's plenty of wide receivers. I mean, Julio Jones is what, like 7,600. You got Calvin Ridley at 7,000.
There's a lot of options. Michael Thomas,
It's 7,300, right? Like, how did I not mention Michael Thomas? I have in the last 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. Like, look, you have plenty of value. You have plenty of number one wide receivers who are priced down, who are going to get just as much volume and opportunity as Davante Adams is. And playing against not the number one defense. I mean, that's as simple as this strategy is. It's ballsy and it's probably dumb as fuck. But again, not playing a guy like that, not playing some of the chalkiest players in the field allows you to play some of the other chalk and not have to get too crazy to get different.
So I agree with what you're saying. I do. I just can't fade him. That's just me. So I'm going with Mike Davis.
That's your boy, bro. You love Davante Adams, man. I'm with you on it. Like, you've convinced me. Your rants alone have convinced me that he's one of the top 3 wide receivers and potentially the number one.
I think
he
he's
was
better.
The number one wide receiver.
He's better than
he
Hop.
was the number one.
Yeah.
No. He was until that catch. He was until that catch, bro. Like, I've watched that catch 4,000 fucking times. Like, I cannot. Nobody has watched that catch more than I have, and that includes like the fucking scouts who are doing game film for the Cardinals. No, dude, Cliff. I retweeted a video of Cliff Kingsbury kind of like sharing his views on the play. Dude sounds like a bumbling fool. He's like, "Yeah, man, like Kyler just like rolled out and then threw the ball to Hop. Like, what are you supposed to do?"
It's playground mode. Playground mode at that point.
Yeah.
He didn't write that up.
He's the dude from who's that fucking Cuban kid from Backyard Baseball, like that bullshit PC game that was on like demo at all the like Target stores.
You're dating. How old are you, man? Jiminy Christmas. All right, so we're going to move on to Mike Davis here as my fade of the day. I don't think it's controversial. I think it's 6,800. He's slightly banged up. I know he's got a great matchup, and I know he's getting into volume. But at 20%, I just don't love it. And, this week he can absolutely crush. He could have that ceiling game. I'm willing to go under the field on him. I'm not going to have 0 Mike Davis. When we say fade, that doesn't mean I'm Xing him out of my player pool. I'm probably just going to get half the field. I'll get 10%. I'll get 5%. Whatever it works out with in my lineups. I'd rather prioritize towards higher priced running backs, number 1 guys like Dalvin Cooks, and find my value at tight end, find my value at wide receiver, find my value at quarterback. I don't need to find middle of the road value with Mike Davis. If he goes off, I'll deal with it. I'll just move on. If this, in cash, absolutely I'll play him. We're talking about large field tournaments. I'm not going to play a backup running back that's hurt on a team potentially with a backup quarterback who could be losing bad. I'm not going to do it. And at 20% ownership, if his ownership drops to 10%, all right, well, then I'll stick with that. I think that's a good number if I'm doing 20, 40, 60 lineups, whatever it is I end up doing. I just don't love him in this matchup particularly. All right, so let's move. Go ahead.
I'm going to interrupt you because I do want to echo your sentiment there. As much as I love Mike Davis, and I'll probably have a decent amount of exposure to him, let's just put it in perspective so that you can understand Tyson's point a little bit here. You have Nick Chubb at 7K against Philly. You have Miles Sanders 6,900 against Cleveland. Then you have Mike Davis 6,800. You got Kareem Hunt 6,700. James Conner at 6,600 against Jacksonville.
Oh yeah, I'd rather play. Yeah, absolutely.
6,500. James Robinson 6,400. DeAndre Swift 6,400. Joe Mixon 6,300. So this isn't. Look, I mean, when I say that I'm going to have some decent exposure to him, I mean I'm going to be slightly above the field. If he's projected at 20, then I'm probably going to run closer to 25 to 30%. I'm going to have a lot of exposure to these other guys, and that's what Tyson's getting at here, right? There's plenty of guys in the same price range that are going to be much more valuable and have the similar upside that Mike Davis is going to have. The reason why Mike Davis is so popular is because we're expecting that CMC volume, those 15 fucking targets, right?
Yeah.
So that's really what we're looking at, is we're looking at him from a ceiling perspective. But Miles Sanders' ceiling isn't all that different. And you're going to be able to save a little bit of money if you're spending down a wide receiver and throwing in Michael Thomas and some of these other guys.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not trying to take up too much time going into this, but I do want to stress the point of kind of what these calls are.
Yeah.
That's exactly what this is. And you need to be paying attention to similarly priced guys in that range at lower ownership. That's a direct pivot. I mean, for being honest. So
we're going to build a lineup here.
What you're going to do.
Yeah, we're going to build a lineup here in a second together. We're going to use all the information we've just compiled and build a lineup in real time. But for now, we want to go to our tournament pivots. And I don't know why we're playing this sound, but fuck it. This is awesome.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
This is our tournament pivots here. I'm going Curtis Samuel again. It's risky, but look, at his salary and his ownership, he's going to be less than 10% owned. I think he's under, is he in the 4Ks?
He's under 5%.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wide receiver.
I mean, what is his price? I should have had this up.
I think it's 4,600.
4,700. He's under 10% owned. He's a wide receiver who's going to be getting carries out of the backfield, targets out of the backfield. I think he's a good pivot over Mike Davis. He's half owned from Mike Davis, and especially if Teddy Bridgewater plays, I think you got to get some Curtis Samuel this week for sure.
Yeah,
Ellie.
So Curtis Samuel, before I go into mine, Curtis Samuel is the direct pivot off of Mike Davis. I think he is one of the better plays in the slate. DJ Moore might be the only one that I think might be a little bit more optimal than Curtis.
Yeah.
But Curtis has a little bit more of a big play potential. Since he's been healthy, he's getting consistent usage in the offense. Whereas DJ Moore has been more volatile. He's going from 0 targets to 5 to 2 to 8.
Yeah.
Curtis Samuel is going to get 3 to 5 touches, and he's going to get 5 to 7 targets.
He can directly take carries away from Mike Davis. That's the point here.
100%. If the Panthers are winning, and it's not because of Mike Davis, it's going to be because of Robbie, Curtis, or DJ, right? And I prefer Curtis out of all of them. Now, when we're looking at mine, Calvin Ridley is literally just a leverage play off of Julio Jones. Julio Jones is one of the more chalky players on the slate. Calvin Ridley is coming in under 10%. He is probably the best route runner in the NFL at this point. I honestly have not seen cleaner routes since probably Isaac Bruce or Torrey Holt, and that's a fucking throwback. So,
Yeah, it is.
Jerry Jeudy might be the only one who can compete with him at this point. But again, they're all coming out of the same school. So,
Yeah.
Bama, roll tide.
Yeah, right.
But anyways, yeah, I like Calvin Ridley. I think he's a great pivot, and I think he's going to have a good game.
I love it. I love Calvin Ridley. I'm gonna have a ton of him in my stacks and even as one-offs. So let's move on to lineup builder. Let's just build a lineup together, man. Let's do it. Let's have fun, real quick. Let's do it. Who do you want to stack here? Do you want to get some Jameis?
Yes, 100%.
All right, let's get some Jameis Winston here. If I could find him. So Jameis Winston at 5.9K. All right, so who are we pairing him with? We got to do Michael Thomas, right? I mean, I think Michael Thomas is under-owned. I think he can absolutely go off this week, right?
I want Michael Thomas, yeah. And let's throw in Zeke, dude. I kind of want to see what our builds
totally
look
agree.
like with Zeke.
I totally agree. So
he's just so underpriced, man.
all right, so we'll put Zeke in right now just because we can. Okay, so who's our other option for I don't think we can go Kamara. I think we got to go Cook or Traquan. Do you want to go Traquan or Cook?
I like Cook. I was actually going to suggest that. Right?
I like Cook. Like I said, I like putting our tight end in our stacks this week because there's really there's no reason to not do that with the pricing this week, and there's not really a good option. So who are we going to run it back with Atlanta? Do you want to do Calvin?
Yeah, let's run Calvin.
All right. So Calvin Ridley coming back. That leaves us with 4,800. Do you want to pick a defense first, or do you want to pick a defense last? How do you want to handle this?
I want to throw in Justin Jefferson, actually.
I love it. Can we afford Dalvin Cook? Probably not, right?
No,
Okay.
Absolutely not.
All right, so let's get Justin Jefferson. I like that as another run back. Now look, guys, this is a large field tournament lineup. This is not a cash lineup. This is not a single entry 3 max. This is large field. This is 100,000 entries plus sort of a lineup. It's very correlated. If one of these doesn't go off, you're pretty much done. You're not going to cash. So just know that. Don't enter this into a cash lineup. This is large field GPP. All right, Justin Jefferson at 6K. I like that. Okay, so now we have a flex running back and defensive. We have 4,400 remaining. Where do you want to go from here?
4,400 remaining. Let's see. We got running back, flex, and I'm okay with throwing in a defense right now.
All right, let's look at defense. So traditionally with defense, you really can go super low price defense and get pretty close to what you would get for the high price defenses. Any defenses sticking out on the low end? Washington Football against Seattle. You got, I don't know. Let's see.
Washington against who?
I'm sorry, against Cincinnati.
Oh, okay. No, I don't want that. How much is Miami? Are we getting too high?
Oh no, 3.4K. I think we can fit him in.
Oh yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, it's not a bad one-off either.
All right, so who do you want to play in the flex? Do you want to play a running back in the flex, or do you want to throw? What do you want to do here?
Honestly, I prefer running a wide receiver in the flex. So let's try and fill out that running back spot here.
Okay, so running back. Let's see. We got 4,900 remaining between two positions. We need to go a little bit lower. We need to probably reach into the 5Ks here. Let's see. Kalen Ballage. We've got Nyheim Hines. You also have Antonio Gibson at 5.8K. Let's see. You can go to Ahmed. You can go to Salvon Ahmed, but that's negatively correlated against the defense. I don't think we want to do that. Anything sticking out to you?
Ahmed, isn't Ahmed the Miami running back?
Oh, he is. Fuck. Why did I think that? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, throw him in.
Let's do that.
Why not?
I look at 4.8K. It's worth a shot. He looked pretty good last week, and against the Cardinals.
What is
that? 5,000 for a flex. 5,000.
Okay.
So we can get around. Let's see. Who do we got here? So we can do. Well, we don't want to do Mark Ingram. We can do CeeDee Lamb, Mark Andrews. Well, we don't want to do that. Manny Sanders. Oh no, never mind. We don't want to do that. We've already got two. MVS. Oh, Corey Davis, bro.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Not a bad lineup. Definitely a tournament
It's
lineup. And look, this is a first build. This is a hand build lineup. I don't typically hand build lineups, but putting players in like this and getting an idea how salary is going to work out with your stacks, I think it's decent lineup. I think it's decent, you know.
Right. Look, the point of this activity isn't to say, "Hey, look, we found the fucking one." Right. The point of this is to identify where, you know, what you have to do to build correctly. So when we start thinking about the chalk, like, look at this lineup. We're looking at some of the lower price players.
Yeah.
And we're struggling to kind of find value and to jam people in that we like. Right. So think about trying to have guys like Julio Jones in, right? And guys like Dalvin Cook. We start doing all that. All of a sudden, you're taking stabs at 3,000 wide receivers, and you're required to run Jakeem Grant. You're required to run some of these nonsensical players. So all this does is give us a quick insight of what we need to do. Now, here's one thing that we could do a little bit differently. So, Tyson, do me a favor real quick. Swap out Jared Cook for Logan Thomas. This is chalky as fuck, but I just want to show you guys something. And then instead of Jefferson, throw in Manny Sanders.
Sorry, let me look for him. He's priced pretty low. All right, leaves us with 2.1K. Who do you want to pull out? Ahmed?
No, upgrade Davis.
Do it.
Or even Ahmed. Like, look, from there you can go to Antonio Gibson from Stephen Ahmed. I doubt that's his first name, but it's
look,
good.
you can get Scary Terry here too, or you can get Juju. You can get Adam Thielen. You know, you get Scary Terry,
Will Ferrell, Will Fuller. Look,
there's a lot of options here.
Things that you can, right, and that's what we're looking for, right? We're trying to find out where we can get a little bit different. So in this particular case, you got Logan Thomas, who might actually be good chalk this week at 3,300. Yeah, maybe you just jam him in, and you have the value to kind of build where you need to. But that's really where I'm at this week. I think we're I'm gonna have to watch this video tomorrow and make sure that my points are still good given injury situation.
You crushed it, bro. Thank you guys so much. We're gonna get out of here. Like our video, subscribe if you can. We really appreciate it. It really helps us out. We have a showdown video already up for Thursday night. Cardinals and Seahawks. Go ahead and check that out. I'll link it in the bio. I'll put it on the end card. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it, and we're gonna see you guys. When are we gonna see you guys for Sunday Night Football? Take it easy. Thank you guys.